So this light is very different, and it seems passive-aggressively left for me to stay that way, because I know I adjusted it the other day, and now it's wide again. So I'm going to presume that it's meant to be that way and to experiment, and it's not, and I'm not supposed to put it back the way it used to be in order to bring the light further forward. But so long as we're experimenting with the light, I'm also messing with these. Because this is an audio podcast anyway, we just happen to do it on YouTube, so this stuff doesn't matter. But look at that. Isn't that cool? All right. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Slant 3D podcast, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today, we're going to talk about how tariffs are affecting first quarter shipments of 3D printers, how to market a 3D printer material, why Stratasys is doing cool stuff with dental, and finishing up with a big old discussion, a bunch of questions coming in from people, and then talking about how we choose projects to work on. Or I guess more specifically, kind of how I choose what projects to work on. But before that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This episode is brought to you by Teleport. Do you want to get access to hundreds to thousands of machines? Do you want to stop having to run your own print farm? Do you want to get distribution inside the United States? That's what Teleport is for. If you're starting up and growing a 3D printing business and you don't want to have 50 machines in your garage that you have to pack boxes for and ship them out the door every day, and instead just want to have the passive income, go ahead and check out Teleport at slantpod.com. Teleport plugs right into your Etsy store. You just upload a model, and when you get an order, we print it and ship it straight to your customer for you. Drop shipping with 3D printing. So go ahead and check out Teleport right now at slantpod.com. That's slantpod.com. All right, moving into the news. First piece of news, Stratasys reseller sees 350% surge in 3D printer sales to dental customers. I'm a little bit hyped up, by the way, because we've been doing a side project, but I'll get to that later. The Stratasys 350%. UK-based Stratasys reseller SIS Systems has reported 350% surge in sales to the dental market. According to SIS, it is working with an increasing number of clinics and laboratories across the UK to install Stratasys machines. This machine is capable. Additive manufacturing is revolutionizing the way we do things, and the dental market is the latest to switch to the okay. Yep, they did that thing. That happened. Is this a paid article? I don't think so. I think it's a legitimate article. Dental has been one of the best places for 3D printing because it's super high margin, uber customized, and doesn't actually have much expectation attached to this. In this situation, many of these dental things are for fittings and recreations of your mouth that used to be like molds. But some of the Stratasys stuff and everyone else has been involved in dental for a long time. Invisalign, Smile Direct Club, all those guys have been doing dental for a long time using 3D printing because it is a perfect application. You have enough money inside of it and you have everything else that you need to make a viable business out of it. I think this information is a little bit late because it's dedicated to the UK market, and the US may have been on this train a little bit earlier, but still good because you want 3D printing moving around. Next story. Tariff fears push entry-level 3D printer Q1 shipments to over 1 million as industrial sales drop. Yes, dun dun dun, doom and gloom. Entry-level 3D printers experienced a 22% surge in shipments in the first quarter of 2025, according to figures from Context. The increased sales of sub-$2,500 machines, which saw over 1 million systems shipped, is thought to have been brought on by consumers and channel partners actively trying to get ahead of tariffs policies. The same challenges, which conversely led to a 6% dip in shipments in high-end industrial machines priced above $100,000. Total additive manufacturing system revenues, however, grew by 5% year over year, and while the industrial and mid-range sectors continue to face headwinds, a bounce back is expected as industrial vendors report strong end market engagement and interest. While the immediate forecast is challenging, there remains strong underlying pent-up demand, particularly for industrial systems. Shipments of professional printers priced between $2,500 and $20,000 fell by 4%. We've talked about this a few times before. The Context reports have kind of had this recurring story that low-cost machines are increasing in numbers and everybody else has been kind of stagnant because of interest rates and the rest of it. Yes, tariffs came. Everybody got the deal up front because they didn't know if tariffs were happening. which easily could have created a 22% surge in overall purchases. And everybody else stockpiling just to have inventory for a little while without long-term costs of tariffs. Don't read into it too much. This is interesting that the low cost did hold up because many people kind of consider the current economic climate to be rough for people in general, and low cost printers are a luxury. By most people's standards, they're a luxury. By pretty much everybody's standards, they're a luxury. And industrial purchases of those consumer machines are not high enough volume to create that kind of a number. So there's a general consumer push on this for sure. But there it is. Sold more printers. Selling 1 million printers in a quarter, by the way, a non-Christmas quarter. The first time we broke 1 million in a single quarter, I think, was 1 or 2 years ago at Christmas. And now the regular quarter is doing it. Again, external effects, tariffs, all the rest of it. But this is just a trend line that's been going on for a while. Okay, next piece of news. Prusa. Prusa confirms non-FDM toolheads are coming to the XL. Made a big announcement rather subtly today as founder and CEO Joseph Prusa confirmed plans to release non-FDM toolheads for the Prusa XL during his keynote address at Fab 25. The XL will stay with us for quite some time. We have some additional non-FDM toolheads coming, and that will be truly, truly amazing, says Prusa. I don't like it. When the Bambu H2D came out and it was a laser cutter and a 3D printer in a box, I was like, why would you do that? Bambu could have made a really, really cool, larger format 3D printer and then made a really, really cool laser cutter. And both of them would have been really great and separate without all the cleanup and shenanigans of your laser desk getting on your bearings and all the rest of this. Plus, you end up creating a Swiss Army knife Frankenstein device that is meh at something. And I know they said, no, it's not meh, but that's what companies say. Believe me, I know. But Prusa doing this, it makes a little bit more sense for Prusa because number one, the XL is open, so there's places for stuff to go, and it uses a tool changer. That makes sense. It makes more sense. But again, no one has fully plumbed the depths of FDM printing yet at all. So I really just can't abide by this diversification within the system. And I think I can't help but think that non-FDM head is a direct reaction to Bambu that is faster than the initial reaction because Prusa just wants to be up with Bambu. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's cool. Putting some milling on the Prusa machines, that makes sense. And I know this is going to happen. Prusa, here's a prediction. Throw it in there. Prusa will have a CNC attachment with a little rotary cutter on it. And that rotary cutter will have a Prusa upgrade to where you will print the part and then the rotary cutter will go by and buff the part. And that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You'll be able to get machining tolerances out of a 3D print will be the goal. And they'll say, oh, you can print the whole solid and then drill a hole in it. And that's all great. It's just not new. Industrial 3D printers have been doing that for a while. There's been multiple companies who have built that. This is effectively Prusa moving up market with the XL and adding that new functionality. And now I'm doing an analysis of a prediction. But they're going to do it. There's going to be a rotary on there. There probably actually won't be a laser because it's an open box and Prusa won't want to deal with that. At some point, they will do a laser upgrade kit that will have panels that go onto the XL because they'll want to match Bambu. But the first one will be a rotary release. There we go. That's definitely going to happen. Okay, next piece of news. Generally, this is a piece of news that I don't really do often, but Mosaic, but it passed my LinkedIn. And Mosaic, which is a 3D printer company in Canada, released a custom formulated alternative to polypropylene. Traditional PP filament is notoriously difficult to print, prone to warping, poor layer adhesion, and inconsistent results. Form was developed to eliminate these challenges without compromising on print quality. Corporate stuff. This is for orthotics, industrial jigs and fixtures, yada, 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 yada. They called it Form. Their uber good polypropylene filament they called Form. Because Mosaic knows how to brand stuff. That's the whole conversation with this article. They didn't call it polypropylene purple people eater or polypropylene acetylcrydal, whatever it was, oxycodylene. They didn't do any of that. They called it form so people could pronounce it and it could be a brand name. If I had an opinion about the word form, I would say that's kind of broad, a little bit broad for this, because now they're going to start calling it form ABS and form blue, and there's going to be tack-ons to this at some point in the future. But form is a better name than, sorry, John, PCTG. PCTG still worst brand name of a filament ever. Only engineers would name something like that, and I would know. Remember senior projects in college, we'd explicitly try to create acronyms, and I was like, Jesus, it's irritating. All right, moving into the next thing. Questions. There's a decent number of questions. Well, a reasonable number of questions. Not a huge number, I don't think. Question from a couple days ago, TechZF. Can you think about quick response manufacturing and the 3D printing farm business? What can you say about using 3D printing farms as an on-demand service for one-time jobs instead of continuous production, like an Etsy format? Thanks in advance. I don't consider Etsy, well, okay, I'm going to try to break this down. I hope I'm understanding it correctly. I generally don't, in our context, Etsy production is very kind of one-offer because people are constantly creating new designs, uploading new designs, upgrading their products. So very rarely is it the same. People move and evolve stuff a lot. And there's so many people who like use teleport that it's a bunch of random stuff coming through all the time. It's very challenging. But because of that, we consider print on demand and drop shipping really similar to print on demand like prototyping service. It's equivalently difficult, maybe more so, because our life would be so much easier if we called teleport a prototyper service, because people would have an expectation that it's a prototype rather than a production part. We make final parts for people. And even when they order it in the prototyper, they consider it to be a production finished part, whether it's been prepped or not. That's challenging. It's difficult as a service, but we have the history to be able to deal with it. A print-on-demand service, print farms are very good, can be very good at print-on-demand. The challenge is focus. Printers can theoretically make anything, but they can't actually. Printers can make some things, certain materials can make some things, certain settings can make some things. It's like you don't use vase mode for an industrial jig, like variations inside of there. So for a service that is doing like prototyping, you have to decide what kind of prototyping you do and build that in. Quick response manufacturing, though, generally is referred to, excuse me, quick response manufacturing generally means like a company who's trying to be leaner, so they have parts. It's like lean manufacturing, but even closer. It's kind of a slang of that, to where basically a print farm on the side of the factory is producing the parts that you need really quickly so that they get into flow when you need them, rather than waiting for some supplier to ship them or drop ship them. Ultimately, print farms are good at can do all of that stuff, but I cannot overstress the need for focus about what it can and cannot do. A really good example of this was like a few weeks ago, we were dealing, Joe, the 3D printing professor, had a part that came in. We recommend no parts smaller than an inch, and he was making something this big. And that's something that we consider to be out of spec for the service. So that's like an example of it. Like we work over here in this stuff, that kind of stuff needs to have a different workflow and different selection for it. And maybe someday we'll add it in, but like those kind of things. In order to do a service well, you have to have guardrails in it. And that lets people know what can and cannot be done on it. Question, will there be a follow-up to the 3D printing professor situation? Now that's serendipitous. We've already done a follow-up to Joe's stuff. I'm not going to go into it anymore because we can't. Like, I could expand on that whole thing a bunch, but that would mean releasing information about Joe's projects, about the conversations, those kind of things that I'm not allowed to. As a company, we are not allowed to share anything publicly of a user, of a customer, of a client that they do not share publicly themselves. So literally the only information that we can share is the information that Joe has shared. We cannot add any more to that. We can't talk about like pricing and that kind of thing. So we can't go into that anymore. Talk to Joe a bunch about it all there and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I can't go into it anymore. Nope, not going to go into it anymore. The drama, we've addressed it. The drama's been done. There's no reason to feed it anymore. And again, that feels like I'm ignoring it. I'm not. As a company, there's an explicit challenge because we don't have the flexibility of a YouTuber. Because we do have to follow certain standards of the law, of ethics, and all the rest of this kind of stuff. So, and in that, it's really, really helpful if we could just dish on stuff. If we could just open up the books and say, see, this is how it all went down. But we can't, because that would be compromising the ethics in which we conduct ourselves. So there's a stringency on that. But that means that it's like, oh, you're covering stuff up. And we're not. We don't want to. Well, but we do want to, because we want to be a real company. We don't have the luxury of mining the drama and mining views by like pasting up emails or something like that and just dishing on people, because we're a professional organization. And if we did that, how do you know I wouldn't do it with somebody else's part or any of the rest of it? So like, we just can't release any more information publicly than what Joe has released, because it's Joe's information. That's all I can do. Right now, from our side, we ship 100 to 1,000 parts per day. Less than 1% of them have a problem reported or a refund issued. And refunds are free forever inside of Teleport, so that if you order a part from us and it's delivered incorrectly, which happens, manufacturing is never perfect. If a part is delivered incorrectly, there is one button inside of Teleport, and you push that button and you get your money back. And that effectively allows you to prototype continuously for free, getting what feedback you can, and evolving inside the system. So we built Teleport to make sure we're as aligned as possible to make sure that our users are successful. Because it'd be really dumb of us to build a system that explicitly tries to screw people, because number one, we're really, really public about stuff. I have to do this thing every week, and I have to follow the rule. I could have skipped over this, but he has question colon in it, so I can't go by. But there's no reason for us to try to get away with anything, because it would kill us long term if we tried to do that. So Teleport's not perfect, never has been perfect, never will be perfect, but it gets better all the time. Question: how do you recommend preparing yourself mentally for your business? Expectations on the amount of work, coping with challenges, evaluating motivation for yourself and or others to get through the challenges of standing up a new business, especially when you already have a full-time job and can't afford to quit to dedicate your full attention. James Halter 654. I cannot help with how to prepare yourself if you already have a full-time job that you need to retain. But I do know that if you do, you don't have full attention on the business, and you have radically decreased the possibility of success for your business. If you're not full-time on the business, there's a high probability that the business won't be successful, an increased probability. That's all I can say about that. I have always worked for myself. Well, outside of college. I've had jobs in college and that kind of stuff, of course. But as soon as I graduated from school, I started work at Slant Concepts, which was a product design firm, and then rolled into Slant 3D and a couple other projects. How I prepare myself mentally is that you start with, this is going to be suck. Thank you, sir. Can I have another? That's how you start. there will be moments of high. There will be successes and wins and that kind of stuff. But the vast majority of it is at least low grade suck. And at worst, giant clusterfuck. There is always something broken. There is always something wrong. There is always something about to kill you. There is always something going wrong. You learn to live with that. It's part of the gig. And if you're not ready for that, you probably shouldn't start a business. Coping with challenges, you say, yes, thank you, sir. Can I have another? And you wake up the next day and go do it. You, as a company founder, will have perpetual bad days, and you're not allowed to have bad days. You have to still show up. You still have to get the work done. You still have to put on a good face for the team. That's one of the toughest ones. Like, you are the leader. You have to set the tone. So whatever's going into your life, you need to try to suppress that, because that's not your thing. That's not your job as the leader. I'm not very good at that. Sometimes I wear what's going on my sleeve. And I'm like, guys, I slept 2 hours last night. Leave me alone. I'm mad. But I'm at work and I'm doing the stuff. But ultimately, for motivating yourself, you have to pick something that's worth doing. You have to have a mission, and you have to understand that it's worth doing. So within Slant 3D, the motivations that keep me going is that, number one, I know it's correct. And number two, I know it's good. I know it's correct because 3D printing has fewer inputs to make a final product than any other manufacturing process. That is a mathematical scientific fact. So the only reason it's not used instead of molding or machining or anything else is that it just has an engineering problem. Fine, I can work on that. I know it's good because as we become increasingly successful, as we grow the print farms and the capabilities and make teleport better and make it work in more countries and that kind of thing, a kid in Zimbabwe can get a laptop, go on Tinkercad, and design some object that's good, a good product, intentionally. Post it online on Etsy or whatever site he can, and some gal in New York can buy it from him, and he's making money. And that's something that he can understand and conceive of, rather than necessarily like learning software on that beat-up laptop. That can be tougher. But understanding how to build something and building some prototypes out of some cardboard or something, some third world kid can grow and do something amazing by having full access to the world without having to buy a mold or create anything. That's the reason I keep on doing it, because I know it's hugely enabling, because it will allow so many people to make awesome stuff. And then, yeah, more broadly, like bringing it back to the first world countries, more awesome stuff can be made faster. Manufacturing is stupid slow. So being able to allow people to iterate and create really quickly, rather than having some precious little idea that can't possibly be changed and has to be just right and will definitely change the world, but probably won't, because that's not how products work. Instead of that, you can just try stuff, and stuff can get better faster. So those are the things that I use to motivate myself. Those are the missions. Those are the truths that I use, so that I know that no matter how bad it is worth doing. It's worth taking the beatings in order to get to that, so that somebody is first over the wire and doesn't have to get cut up in it themselves. Question. You have spoken a couple of times about what you are looking for in an employee. What can you tell us about Slant 3D as an employer that would motivate someone to apply for a job there? What do you offer that would make it worth one's while to move to Idaho for a job? Watches, trains, and rockets. That's a good question. I'm the wrong person to ask because I run Slant 3D. You should ask one of our team. I think the reason almost everybody works here, there's a lot of cruddy jobs in the world, and cruddy jobs are generally ones where you have no control. You have some buzzard manager hanging over your shoulder that says, did you staple that square? And the staple really doesn't matter. And you show up each day, sit in a gray cubicle, and you don't feel like you're contributing or that it's like worth it. the fundamental advantages, I would say, of working with Slant 3D is that you are immediately responsible for something. We hire very intentionally, and in your first week, you are going to ship code, you are going to publish a video, you are going to touch a part that a customer is going to see, which is hugely dangerous for the company because somebody could break the site or ship a part that's bad or whatever else it was. But it's hugely enabling to the person, because my philosophy on any of our people is like, they come to me and they say, what should I be doing? I'm like, I hired you for this job. Go do it. How do you want me to do it? I'm like, good. I hired you because you're good at this thing. You should be good at this thing. Either get good or go use your existing skills, but you are responsible for the outcome. And that allows you to show and run as far as you want to go with very few inhibitions, and allows you to be fully responsible for something so that you're contributing to the team. Like it's really fun to be at Slant 3D because somebody will go down there, pick up a part, and they'll say, this is garbage, and they'll wander up to the developers and they'll say, fix this. This part is garbage. I can't find it. Where is it? So on and so forth, whatever it happens to be. And then it goes, and then it gets to me and I say like, why did that break? And they're like, it broke because of this. And it's like, okay, let's move this whole rack over here because the factory's in the wrong space, and stuff happens. It's really fun to be in a startup where stuff is happening because there's a lot of momentum. Things are changing and moving and being dynamic, and you feel like you're getting something done. Pay sucks. Pay doesn't suck that bad. But you're not in San Francisco. But you're a startup, so there's the limitations within that. But the compensation for that is increased control, increased responsibility. I take great pride as a boss that everyone who has worked at Slant 3D is better for having done it. An editor who works for us for a couple of weeks will learn more about YouTube than any course online. Immediately. They will get such density of information. A software developer will be pushed, and they will have to create things that they're not comfortable with and that might break and blow up. But I'm okay with that because we're a startup, and I also understand how product development works. You try 3 times, and the 3rd time it might be okay. And the 4th time it might be good. But that freedom and that trust that comes with it of like, this is fully your responsibility. I am trusting you to do it. Gabe, it blew up and it didn't work and the site went down. I'm like, well, darn, that sucks. Well, go fix it. And it's not, you're fired. No, it's go fix it. The only reason anybody ever gets fired is if you're sucking air out of the room. If you cause more problems than you fix, or if you are taking energy away from other people, if you're sucking from people. That's like the primary reason that I have had to let people go in the past. But yeah, I would say the reason most people work here, or why people would want to work here, is that you have real responsibility. You will have something on your resume that you deeply understand and is deeply demonstrable. Imagine being a YouTube editor, a video editor, and saying, here's this video from one of the biggest YouTube channels in the state. I edited that one. I filmed that one. Here is this app that thousands of people use. I built the backend for that. Want me to explain it to you? Here is a pile of parts that were used in this defense company or something like that. This was a sample I got to take home with me. I made all those. That's kind of cool because it's something you can tell your grandkids about, as opposed to, I worked at this company. What'd you do, Grandpa? It's exciting to have the story to tell. Couple questions. Oh, no. That's not correct format. Question. Clear up lithophane confusion for me. Can I do 3mm walls without infill or not? The print settings for teleport are 1mm walls, 2 lines. So you have 2mm of thickness to work with. After that, you start getting space to where infill could appear inside of there. But for lithophanes, you can go thicker than that because you can get a lot of contrast. Within the 2 walls, you can also go down to 0.5. So you got a thickness of a lithophane this thick down to this thick. I'm not flipping anybody off, am I? Down to this thick. From this thick down to this thick. That's generally enough to create a lot of contrast in a lithophane. For Gabe's video on lamps, from teleport slicer settings, 1 millimeter wall is 25% infill. Yes. From Gabe's video on lamps, 1.4 to 1.5 millimeter wall thickness, minimum 0.5. Yes. But those are for lamps. Those aren't lithophanes. Lamps you want pass through all the way through. And you generally don't want to go thicker than like a millimeter to have good pass through on a lamp. For Gabe's video short on its litho, 0.8 millimeters to 3.2 millimeters wall thickness, seen on screen. Shorts are shot really fast. That might be a typo, but yeah, you can go up to 3.2. There'll just be space inside of there, and you'll still have some contrast. From the recent Kyle Slant 3D video on lithophanes and a video comment on it and a YouTube comment, 0.5 to 3 millimeter lithophanes will work. Yeah. 2 millimeters versus 3 millimeters. It won't really appear inside the thing because the contrast will still be there. Apologies if we don't all have instant memory of what is written on each one of the blogs, because there's 3 or 4 people who write up this content, and lithophanes are funky because the print settings are 1 millimeter wall thickness. That's baseline. Engineer around that however you like. For lithophanes, you have a lot of play in there. And when we're running through those settings, we don't always fully tune the lithophane settings because we are demoing the general flow of it all rather than the specific numbers of it all. I'll let the guys know to refine that a little bit more so that we don't get in the weeds on that. Question, do you have a bug bounty program? We generally do. If anybody reports a bug to us or like says, here's a bad problem with a print or something like that, and we track down what it is and it's like an issue with the system, we'll generally send somebody like 25 or 50 bucks. I know when Joe 3D printing, no, I can't talk about that. You guys can guess what it is, but I'm not going to give the details of it now because I can't. Question, what kind of infill do you use? 25% infill of what kind? Square? Grid? Question, last time I wrote as a final year veterinary student and made a bird feeder in Kickstarter. While that is running, I made the second product and got it approved from Kickstarter, targeting board gamers with some 3D printed modular game tray accessories this time. And I finished the third attempt of Kickstarter, as well as a modular that copied. Can you please talk about your Kickstarter journey and what you learned, and did you do shipping or marketing for it? Question 2. I have also made a few products for aquariums as well. Completely listening to your aquarium videos, I'm trying to launch multiple things and see what sticks. But it is a long, tiring, lonesome journey. How do you maintain mental willpower and grind for it? I'm going to refer to my previous question. Okay. Sorry, the rest of it isn't really a question, so I'm letting that sit. With Kickstarter, I have run about, or been a part of about 19 separate Kickstarters. About 10 or 11 of them were successful. Most of them were for little bots. There were a few before and a few after. Kickstarters, I use Kickstarter as a test bed. People on Kickstarter want to give you their money if you have a good product. So you start with a really small goal and then it can go above that. If you can hit the really small goal, then it might be worth selling at other places and running ads against it. I never use Kickstarter as actual funding. It is a pre-order platform or a proof of market platform. Proof of market can be done for under $10,000. Pre-ordering, how much demand are you going to have? Eufy made $45 million last year. That's how I use Kickstarter. That all being said, it has been about 3 years since the last time I was part of a Kickstarter, so I do not know how the platform behaves anymore, because it's definitely changed since then. Okay, that's questions. Okay, let's see here. Company updates. All right, Tangled. Alrighty then, Tangled Filament. Tangled Filament is shipping in under 2 days right now. We're holding steady. I think we're probably going to end up releasing a video that will probably jack with that whole thing. Aren't these lights cool, by the way? I know this is probably distracting, but I don't care because I found a button on a remote that did this. That's so nifty. And I can't use it on any other things because this is a podcast. We get to experiment with stuff here, like the wide light and these things in the back. It's an audio format. Put it in your ears. You'll never know that just flashed each time I said a thing. But Tangled is staying up and everything else. There will be an update to a subscription. There was an update that went out a couple days ago that the subscription will be increasing $1 or $2. And then there will be an annual subscription that will be at the $7 tier, just like normal. The reason for that is over the last 3 or 4 months while we've been testing subscription, one of the worst situations happened, which is a large number of users buy the subscription, buy the filament, cancel the subscription same day to get cheaper shipping. Because you can either buy the filament and pay $10 in shipping, or you can have the subscription, which is $7, and then you buy the filament. And you have free shipping. And we knew there was going to be some of that, but there is more of it than there should be. But we want to make sure that existing users are taken care of, which is why we're going to continue the $7 for the annual subscription if you're someone who's regularly supporting Teleport and want to continue to do that. And then we're going to increase the regular subscription just a little bit, because if it's just the shipping cost, then it's not a good structure of the subscription. That being said, the value of the subscription is increasing all the time, because like right now, I think there's 10 or 12 colors inside of Tangled that are discounted Polymaker colors, which you can get for, normally they're like $23. I think we're selling them for $18.50, which is a steep discount, and the best we could sustain within the wholesale pricing of them all and that kind of stuff. So those are almost a zero profit margin deal, but we're doing it basically to increase the value of the subscription. And there'll be more of those kinds of things. So as the subscription value continues to increase, but people are effectively abusing it by using it as a shipping thing, not as a subscription, then we need to try to re-incentivize that a little bit. There are a few, but yeah, there'll be more releases inside of Tangled here fairly soon. We will probably, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to see. I feel like I've been teasing this for a while, but we might get PetG turned loose here. Working on it, but it's in the context of all the other production, because Tangled has always been, Tangled is a side project. And we don't, it's not a big profit driver because there's basically no profit in it. I mean, there's a hair. We've started to make it efficient enough to where there can be places for it. But updating the subscription, by the way, doesn't help that, because the shipping cost for a spool of filament is 10 or 12 bucks. One of the optimizations inside of Tangled that we planned for originally that we still have not been able to do is Midwest distribution, which would help decrease the shipping cost. Once we get that done, it will allow us to help that more. And the filament inside of the subscription will continue to reduce in price. But we don't want the subscription to reduce in price. We want the subscription to be really valuable and to be a little bit of a deterrent so that people commit to the subscription, because it's still a screaming deal. You can buy the filament for $13 plus $9 of shipping, or you can buy the filament for $10 with free shipping. It's a very, very good deal. And the subscription right now is $7. Very likely will be going up to about $9. Yeah, so there'll be that. Or at least it'll be an experiment. If we find another way of twisting around in some other direction, we'll do that. But yeah, the subscription temporarily will be going up. And yes, we've notified everybody of that via email. And I'm notifying you again here. But yeah, it's just, Tangled is a continuous experimentation and iteration, and this is the next iteration. Over the last, year and a half we've been doing it, we've dropped the cost of filament from $22 down to $10 with subscription. The subscription gives us predictability around how much has to ship next month. If that doesn't have a predictive index on it because too many people are abusing it, then then it hurts everybody else because we can't lower the cost of filament. If we have really good, pure, clean, driven subscribers and that kind of stuff who are like, oh, this is a subscriber, they're going to be here for a month or two, that gives us the ability to focus in and lower the cost of the raw materials even more so that it washes out in the subscription. But if that predictability and that is intended from the subscription of knowing that next month there will be the subscription, we can't plan around that. And that you end up in this push-pull moment of like, is there going to be more orders or not? Or is that person just a fake subscriber or whatever it was? So yeah, that's the reason for that, is trying to redo the incentives to get that lined out correctly. Okay, teleport. A bunch of stuff on teleport. Okay, so last week, I think I might have talked about this in the last podcast, but I wanted to reemphasize the instant refund button. We upgraded that. Inside of teleport, you have two tabs. You have current orders that are outstanding and completed orders. Any order that has been completed, you can go into completed orders, and there's a little button there that says cancel refund. You click that button, and you get a refund. And that button will exist forever. Does exist forever. You can have a part delivered to a customer. You can get a 5-star review for that. And 2 years from now, you can scroll into teleport and hit refund. And you'll get your money back. This is something we're really excited about because it is such a clear demonstration that there's no way we can hurt you, which has always been the problem with print services, of the misalignment. Anybody who is selling on teleport is a business partner. They have to be able to trust us and rely on what we do. So that refund button, that instant refund button, that we don't have any say on it. You don't have to tell us why. We don't have to approve it. You just hit the button and the money comes back. That proves that we're confident in what we're doing to be able to allow you to do that. Now, this opens us up to a huge amount of fraud. Somebody can buy a whole mess of stuff and then get it refunded. I don't know why anybody would do that. Well, they would do it to get the prints themselves. So they would buy the prints, have them shipped to themselves or their brother, and then they would ask for refunds, and then they get the prints. And yeah, there have been a few. We've had to deal with this once or twice. But that is effectively fraud, and it's identifiable within the system. It's like, oh, bought a whole bunch of purchases and then immediately refunded them all. Or the account refunded 50% of their orders a week after they got them or something like that. That's just like, well, that's bad behavior. It's either fraud or the person doesn't know how to use the system effectively. Both of those shouldn't be on the system or need some education. So that's how we deal with it. I haven't had to use it a bunch, but it's there. Ultimately, though, it's our job to be delivering good parts. So if you have full control of whether we get paid, if you get a 1-star review for whatever reason, you can blame it on us and get your money out of us. But it's our expectation that the vast majority of your parts will get 5-star reviews. We ship thousands of parts. Right now, teleport. I don't know. I'm not sure of the number of people who have sold over $100,000 through teleport since launch. Good number of folks, which is really cool. I wonder. You know what's weird? We reached out to a number of these people and we said, hey, do you want to talk about it, or can we do a demo of your store or something like that? And they're like, we would prefer you don't show off what our store is. I was like, fair. I get that. It's such a dysfunctional part of the 3D printing community that ideas cannot be shared because everybody's so worried about them being stolen. Because it is actively a problem. Mainly not because of any one bad actor, but because of the swarm effect. It's like, it's the perfect scenario of like, one vote doesn't matter, but if nobody votes, if everybody doesn't vote, then it really breaks down. And we have a case of like, yeah, one person with a 3D printer copying your thing doesn't matter, but 100 people with a 3D printer copying your thing is death by 1,000 paper cuts. And that's a really, really dysfunctional part inside of 3D printing business. To be fair, one of the easy ways to fix that is to just not call your stuff 3D printed and sell within your niche. And no one will ever know. Okay, that's instant refund for teleport. We are going to be, wait. I'm going to pause podcast right here for a second because I want to go get a thing. All right, I'm back. Updates to teleport. So for the moment, we have smaller parts that can fit inside these smaller boxes, going in these smaller white boxes. This upgrades the look and feel of parts quite a bit. And actually, just literally like today, We got in the interior packaging. So this will effectively turn into, rather than like brown paper, it will turn into colored. So that will improve the unboxing experience for a lot of this stuff. And these boxes are adorable. We are working to get these implemented. We're waiting for them to be sourced. But these white boxes will be for a little larger parts. Anything larger than this still goes into a brown box. So currently this is effectively the box that a lot of parts go into. Inside of the box, you have design note feedback when things first go by. This says things like, oh, readjust it, re-rotate it, that kind of stuff around. Design notes are hairy because the parts get boxed as soon as the parts are approved within the quality of what they're able to do. This is for like tweaking and improving further. We're trying to improve the flow of this, but in order to have good design notes, you need a 3D printing expert there. Not everybody in the building is a 3D printing expert. There's a bunch of people who work in packing, shipping, post-processing, and that kind of stuff, and they follow a process sheet. They're not, oh, if this had just been turned around, it would have been amazing. They don't have that expertise. So the design notes are a little bit intermittent still because it requires a 3D printing engineer to review the part and see what's up. We do have a flow in there that we're adding in order to have those reviewed. But again, when you're shipping 100 to 1,000 parts a day, there's not generally enough time in the day to give a detailed feedback on it all, especially when sometimes the feedback is just ignored or argued about. So we're figuring out how to get that done scalably. We think we might be able to AI it. We'll see. But it's just tough to have somebody standing by to give design feedback in an in-depth sort of a way on every single part when there's so many of them. This is the box that we're trying to get to. The reason we don't have this right now is that we're waiting for some of them, but they're also just really expensive. Like this sort of a box is about 2 to 3 times as expensive as this sort of a box because you literally have to print on a whole bunch of cardboard. We can get them sourced for cheaper, but we have to buy a couple of container loads of them all that direction or deal with all other kinds of shenanigans. The shipping right now is actually more expensive than the boxes, but we're working on that. We want to get teleport boxes into the blue, but right now they are in the white. You got a design note included in there, and the interior will be blue. It's going to start to look really cool here very soon. So that the packaging is evolving. With Teleport, we are also working to allow custom insert notes. Haven't gotten to it yet because we just prioritization of things to work on, like instant refund button. That seems more valuable to us than immediately allowing branding of an item, or because you can use a product listing to give feedback and instructions and that kind of thing. The white boxes, yes, coming out. The incubator. So there's been a sign-up sheet for an incubator the last couple of podcasts where you'll have basically 4 weeks with me and a couple other folks on the team, and we'll look at your stuff and help you out. And you'll basically each week you'll get some homework of things to do. That is a cohort working with a bunch of other people. This next week we should be starting to send out emails on that kind of stuff. And we apologize for the delay on that, but we wanted to give people time to review it all. And to accumulate as many folks wanted to do it. So the incubator is there where we're going to try to help people grow their existing 3D printing business. Teleport health check in general. We're going to try to make this like a segment of like what has been done in Teleport over the last 4 weeks or something and just do that. Teleport in the last 4 weeks. V2 was released about 4 to 6 weeks ago. Weirdness within that as we found some cracks in Shippo and that kind of stuff, but Shippo made it totally free for people to be able to use Teleport so that, again, the kid in the dorm room can get on it without having to have a budget. We retained ShipStation because there are the big sellers want to stay on it and keep on using it, but there's a transition that has to happen in there. So ShipStation has been being reintegrated in the new version of Teleport V2 because we thought it would be deprecated down, but there was just some edge cases where that's not possible. So that's going through there. Instant refund inside of Teleport. The feedback form inside of Teleport. It used to be a question mark over on the left side. That was the support form, the FAQ, the contact info. It was too buried. we didn't like it because it's not fast enough feedback. So instead, we put it as a chat box that is open right there. If you click on it, it pops up FAQ, or you continue typing. That chat box goes straight to the support team, who can respond to it as quickly as they can. Right now, response times on Teleport are about less than 24 hours on pretty much all things, outside of weekends, of course. And depending on the complexity of the issue, sometimes support has to go talk to dev or production or whatever it happens to be. We are, in order to help with Teleport more, I've started up the live stream series where I'm just building a Shopify store from scratch. And it's really great because I get to do instant feedback with the dev. If you guys watch that, it's an hour-long video that's live. It's uncut. But I stop and I take notes. The guys might have cut out some of those, but I was taking notes. And those are notes of like, I need that button moved over to the left. And that's not quite the right flow and those kind of things. But the polishing of the UI and the UX. In that, we've completely redone the onboarding of Teleport. So it's much cleaner. There's fewer gotcha moments inside of it. It's just a lot more comfortable to get set up. We have that video series that will show all kinds of steps and all kinds of new nuggets. There is also, I'm not certain if this has been released off the top of my head, and I haven't gone in and done the weekly review here yet, but there should be a chat box next to each order item in the completed orders. And you just click on that and it'll send an email with that customer information, with that order information straight to us again too, so we can track that down. I don't think people have actually caught on to that one yet. I need that. Hold on. Actually, I can't do that right now. I can't go down this rabbit hole right now. I'm going to try to multitask a little bit. But so V2, ShipStation, Shippo, all the updates, that kind of stuff. We have also, let's see here. I'm going to go over here to, I am going to do this. I'm going to do this live on podcast. I just want to check to see if this is here and available. Okay. Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Alrighty then. Perfect. Yeah, the cancel refund button is inside of there. They have not released the comment feedback order help chatbot bubble inside of completed orders yet. That's coming. It's been wrapped up. Okay. Okay. That's fair. Yeah, so support is down under 24 hours. The onboarding is better. Shipping times are lower. We got people retrained on some of the stuff. There were a couple of UI misunderstandings in our new shipping system that we released a little while ago too. So orders right now are shipping pretty reliably under 3 days. There's a few that stretch out longer. Right now, we're working on how to help with orientation. Lot of prints being uploaded in incorrect orientation. There is the preview that shows how it sits on the print bed when you upload it. We're trying to bring that more front and forward so that all of it is there. It's just more front and center. Oh, by the way, people don't really realize this either, but inside of Teleport, inside of the files page, if you go to the files page and you click on one of the files and you go to the file information, which is like an eye in a circle, a preview of the file will show up, the pricing of the file will show up, and a bunch of key stats will show up with estimated shipping on it too. And you can basically instant quote that, which is also a new feature that everybody can play around with. So a bunch of stuff there. Yeah, this last 4 weeks. More stuff coming. We're trying to, obviously the sales dashboard is in there and that's had some iterations on it even in the last 4 weeks. And there'll be some updates to past orders inside of completed orders and that kind of stuff in the next 2 weeks too. Okay. Overall, Teleport just keeps on evolving. Like Teleport, every month, the leaps and bounds that it moves on usability, feedback, extra content that we give, all of that is around. And then we keep on moving down the channel and refining things where we can. But there's a prioritization. If the foundation doesn't work, there's no reason to put bells and whistles on it. So there's that. But speaking of bells and whistles, there should be colors released on Teleport. Additional colors released here. There will be some more matte colors and just some extra colors coming on very soon. Oh, yeah, production backend or something like that. Just the other day, we added another 50 machines to be available to help with stuff. So keep on expanding. Okay. Discussion topic. Finally, where are we at? Oh, shoot, I just screwed up all my time cards. How do I choose what projects to work on? So we talked about prioritization on like day-to-day stuff before. Prioritization, you use an Eisenhower matrix and you decide what is urgent versus what is important. Urgent stuff is a fire burning over there. Important stuff is a fire burning on a load-bearing beam. That's day-to-day sort of stuff. The things I choose to work on as products, like how do we choose a product inside of Slant 3D? And this came up because a week ago we did a demo of, we built it took 2 days, built this demo because we were in a good spot on Teleport and we had to just let it sit and couldn't ship more stuff. We built this AI product demo that us using internally was really sick. And I kind of teased it on this, and I thought we were going to release it more, but it's been used too much, and we're going to have to build out so much more server infrastructure to support it. But this product is a product that we will release. And the guys were like asking, Gabe, why are we doing this? We got a lot of stuff to Teleport. And I'm like, here's how we choose what we do. When deciding to do any feature, any product at all, a basic heuristic that I use is it has to have 3 reasons. It has to have 3 reasons to exist. Your first reason is stupid. Your second reason might actually be legitimate, but that's only one reason to have it around. And the third reason is a double reason so that it actually has enough value to be up and above all the other things that have a reason to be existing. So I'll use Tangled as an example. Tangled. Why should we do Tangled? It'd be cool. You can make cheap filament and sell it to everybody. It allows us to increase the scale of our existing production. It's a good thing for the community. And it allows us to build up expertise and have more robustness in our supply and improves the quality of our supply. I'm expanding this from beyond Tangled. Well, no. I'm trying to figure out how I want to arrange the thought experiment. Tangled, the first reason is it's cool to do. That's always the first reason to do something else. And that's always the distracting reason. That's the shiny thing reason. It'd be so cool to do the thing. Amazing if we had an AI filament maker thing, whatever it was, robot. But that's not a good reason to do it. The second reason is an actual legitimate reason. So like in the context of Tangled, it optimizes our production. It allows us to make more filament and does create the potential for revenue. And then the third reason is a reason that puts it over the edge of like, okay, it's a piece of content. It helps create a competitive negotiating standpoint with our suppliers, those things. It's like, okay, there's some benefits that are useful to it. That's the low-level basic one there. If you can't come up with 3 legitimate reasons why the thing should exist, then you shouldn't do it. That's my basic rule. And I apply it to, again, features and that kind of stuff. So like instant refund. Be so cool to do. We can do it. It's available. It's possible. We can get it done. Wildly improves the trust of customers. Is still maintainable. Even though anybody can get a hold of it all. And wildly, but it also gives us really truthful feedback from customers. Makes customers more comfortable. But when they have a problem, it's truthful feedback. It's real data. If people want their money back, that means they were displeased with it. It wasn't just, oh, it wasn't what I expected. It's like, no, that was wrong and bad and gross. That's really good feedback. So that's why we do instant refund. 3 reasons. It's worth building rather than some other feature. That's the simple version. The broader way I choose projects or directions or key fundamental things to work on inside of the company, which is, should we do YouTube? Should we do Tangled? Should we do teleport? Should we shut down this business unit? I asked the question of that product, do I see that being useful 10 years from now? Do I see us still doing that 10 years from now? A really good example of this is, should we use FDM or should we switch the whole farm over to resin or something? The answer to that is no, we should use FDM because FDM has the injection molding supply chain. In 10 years, resin still will not have a supply chain equivalent to injection molding. And 10 years from now, FDM will only continue to be better, and there will only be more machines, and it will still have all the same benefits that it has. So yes, we should do FDM because it will exist 10 years from now. You know it will be reliable. The question following up to that is, can I do it for 10 years? Yeah, stone carving will be here 10 years from now, but do I want to do it? Because when you're starting a business, if you're not willing to do it for 10 years, you shouldn't start that business because you're going to be way too fragile. As soon as the going gets tough, you'll go do something else. I could quit and go get a job doing anything else. I was sitting last night. I was sitting with some friends and they were talking about the YouTube channel with me. And I was like, yeah, the YouTube channel is awesome. And that, and like, Gabe, at this point, you guys kind of have YouTube cracked. And I was like, I don't know about that. But they're like, yeah, well, you guys are doing okay. You could build a whole business around helping other people build YouTube channels or doing content marketing for companies. And I was like, that we could definitely do, but I'm not gonna. I don't have time, and I don't see myself doing that 10 years from now. So yeah, that kind of thing. The third item for a product is, does it get better simply because we continue working on it? Does it compound? By the fact that we show up every day, does it get better? Is it like going to the gym? To where if I show up and I work on this product continuously for 10 years, is it useful, profitable, and better? If I show up each day and I beat my head against the wall, I don't want to do that. If I can show up each day and work on it and somebody will jerk the rug out from under me because of some whim, I won't do that. That's why I couldn't make movies. That's why I couldn't work on NASA projects. I have to be able to continue to work on it and have it continue to get better. So like AI, does anybody in their right mind believe that 10 years from now, the AI will not be better than it is today? That's a ridiculous thought. So choosing AI as a horse is just a good decision if you're on it for 10 years. You might not catch it this year. You could, it's growing fast. But if you're willing to do it for 10 years, it's definitely going to be better than right now. And 10 years from now, you will be smarter and will understand it better and will be able to do more things. So that's kind of my criteria for what is a fundamental product that I should be working on or that we should be working on. YouTube. I can still be making YouTube videos 10 years from now. YouTube will still be bigger 10 years from now because there'll be more humans on the planet. Can I do it for 10 years? Is it useful 10 years from now? Yes, it'll still be useful for 10 years. And each time we make another YouTube video, all the previous videos become more valuable. So it has a compounding benefit. Teleport. Is it useful 10 years from now? Yes, there will definitely be people selling 3D printed products 10 years from now. Way more people. Can I still do it 10 years from now? I've been doing it for a while. Slant 3D is 5-6 years old coming up. And I've been working on printing since about 2016 or so as part of the previous company. So apparently I can. Is there compounding benefit to it? Yes, because the expertise that builds up inside of 3D printing and just adding another machine to the farm makes the farm more valuable. So that's how we choose that stuff. So yes, how do I choose projects to work on? If it's a low effort decision, it has to have 3 reasons, 3 good reasons that are ideally quantifiable. If it's something even bigger, you go long-term lens. 10 years from now, will this still be relevant? If the answer is no, don't dick around with it. I would say TikTok. I don't know if TikTok is here 10 years from now. Probably, but 10 years is a long time. The easiest way you can tell if something will be here 10 years from now is, has it been here 10 years previously? Things tend to exist at least as long as they have already existed. It's like saying ebooks will replace books. No, they won't. Books have been around for 2,000 years. They're going to be around for another 2,000 years. By the way, book sales were up last year, the highest they've ever been in history. So that. But yes, is the project viable 10 years from now? Can you do it 10 years from now? Do you have the passion, the interest in it, the perseverance to do it for 10 years? Hey, you can apply this to marriage. Will you still like that person 10 years from now? Can you still put effort into it 10 years from now? And by continuing to date and love this person, will they get better? And will you get better with them? Hey, I didn't plan to have marriage advice. Not that I should have any as a single person, but I think it still applies. Okay, so yeah, that's how we choose things to work on. All right, everybody. Comment down below if you have any questions for us. The rules are question, whatever the question is, and I will do my best to answer it next time. I'm going, and then let us know if there's other topics inside a podcast that you want us to talk, and let us know what you think of the lights. Think we should keep on having them blink as I talk? I'm sure everybody loves this the whole way through. But, okay, I'll turn you all loose. Have a great day, everybody.